101.5 KCSU Fort Collins. We have Blake Brown in here today. Blake, how you doing?
Doing well. Thank you. How are you doing?
I'm good. Please, so tell us a little bit about yourself and what are you doing here?
My name is Blake Brown. I'm 25 years old. I've been playing music since I was about 14. I'm just a musician, singer, songwriter from Fort Collins.
I met Blake 6 or 7 years ago now in Fort Collins. I was playing music with a band, and I think he had a girlfriend who was friends with my band at the time.
Saw him playing a fairly intimate show. He was opening for a songwriter named Rocky Volato.
I suppose the first time I met Blake was at H-Hour shows a long time ago, probably like 8 years ago. H-Hour was actually, if I remember correctly, that was the first show I ever went to.
It was a trio, three-piece punk rock band, and started it with two of my best friends.
H-Hour was great. H-Hour was really raw, more so than I think anything Blake has done since has been, and part of that's probably just because that was a long time ago and things have been honed since then, but there was a really angsty energy to that band. They were a lot of fun.
We practiced every day. Played in the basement, went from there on to playing shows, to being snuck in the back of clubs, and never really being old enough in that band to play bars legally and stuff, so we'd always have to sneak friends in, and it was pretty good times. From then on, I've been in a couple of other bands as well that I've started and helped start. A band called To The Sky with some of my really good friends, and a band called Monofog with some really good friends as well. So,
I knew of the band that he was playing. A lot of people knew who they were up there. This great sort of experimental, crazy rock and roll, Blake screaming his face off a lot, kind of band called To The Sky.
Him at a show. It was the last show of his band, To The Sky.
A bunch of kids in Denver that I also knew were really into him and would come up for shows.
I've played music with Blake a lot, both in his band or playing in my own project. I played keyboards and sang with him, both live and on some of his recordings.
Anybody who's ever close to a musician that takes it seriously and that it's a lifestyle and that it's an outpouring of who they are, it's an infectious thing. And even though for me it wasn't totally and absolutely natural, I had to force myself to write sometimes. It was totally addictive. When I would hang out with him, I'd just end up writing, and I would just end up wanting to be a part of what he was doing just because it was infectious.
I think that Blake is probably one of the most motivated musicians that I know, and I know a lot of musicians, and he's probably gone to the furthest lengths to make it work. But on the other hand, that's not an easy thing to do, and it's really easy to get discouraged.
I think what's unfortunate is he got to it. I think that's something he did consider a lot was competition in music. And I think a lot of people will say that that should never ever be a part of what music is. And I think that was sort of a dichotomy for him, was where music was competitive and where music was art, and where music came from the deepest places in him. And I think I saw that struggle in him throughout the years that I've known him. It's always been, I can see where something's coming from him, and it's a struggle to be successful, and it's a struggle to do this for a living. And so you do things like move to Portland because that's where you're gonna make it, or you do things like move to New York because that's where people say you're gonna do it. And then I see the struggle hit home when he stays in Fort Collins, or when he's thinking about moving to Denver, because that's where home is, and he can still create what he's going to create. And, you know, if it's going to make it, it's going to make it.
We're back with Blake Brown. That was Monofog we just heard from. And what did you do in Monofog?
I was a guitar player in Monofog. One of their friends ended up leaving the band, one of their guitar players, and they kind of went on hiatus and had a little bit of a break. They had a side project, and then they kind of reformed and revamped, and they asked me to come along on board, and I did.
And what was the reason that you split ways?
It's kind of a sensitive subject, but I'm not exactly sure. Ultimately, I think we both just kind of decided that they were going one way and I was going another. I don't think it was really anything bad, but we were parting ways. They wanted to move out of town, and I did as well, but not to the same area.
There was a falling out of Monofog to a degree, to enough to be like, you know, I don't know if I want to deal with this. I think I'm just going to pack my bags and leave, kind of thing. And by the end of it, I decided I'm going to pack my bags and leave.
I think him moving back to Colorado was definitely a step in a better direction to give him more time to record and focus on music and be around, you know, friends that also perform and write music as well.
I wasn't looking to stay in New York for, you know, years and years and years. It's a great city, but you know, it's the most expensive city in the nation, maybe in the world, I think, at this point. That's what I've heard.
He left New York because he couldn't breathe. I mean, you couldn't breathe creating something that was genuine from the heart, which is what his music is, in a place where you've got to be creating something that'll sell. And that's not who he is. That's not what he was looking to do.
Musically and as far as performance goes, there's an honesty and a passion to Blake that you don't often get from people.
I certainly know that that's something that Blake has dealt with, is the sort of commercialization of art in our communities, in our society. He and I used to talk about it a lot with writing, and how frustrating it was when people just wouldn't give a shit about what he was playing, being in a bar and he's doing something intimate and everybody else in the bar just is carrying on and carousing and drunk and bullshit.
It's something that every artist goes through. You want to follow your heart and do, you know, what you're passionate about, but well, society doesn't really make that very easy on you, and you know, you're always under a lot of expectation from family and friends, and your own expectations as far as, you know, what you think you should be able to accomplish. And when you can't get there as fast as you want to, I think that it's very tempting to just give up on it.
As far as school and college and societal pressures and work and careers and families and traveling, and I really ultimately, it's sad to say, but I think it just gets harder.
In some ways, what Blake needs is what all artists need, and that's a chance.
What is the song War about before we get to play? I wanted to ask you that since I heard it, because it's just, there's so much going on. It's so heartfelt and so emotional. And
I don't have a song that's like about a particular one thing. I guess a lot of the songs are just about observations or relationships or observations in people's relationships, and also just kind of viewing things and trying to grow from them, and just kind of writing down little thoughts in between and stuff, and then they kind of just become songs. So.
Okay, here it is. The song War off of Blake Brown's Harboring Secrets.
Just what?
Blake has something to offer the world that I don't think I've seen anywhere else.
He definitely has the talent to be something really special.
Keep trying. And final words for everyone else is, let us try. There are a lot of people in the world who are trying to do beautiful things for everyone around them, and you don't need to thank them, but you could let them try.
I want Blake to be happy. I want Blake to know fulfillment. And if that can happen, writing music, then I'm absolutely behind that, and I want that to happen. But if it can't happen, writing music, then music is less important at that point. And fulfillment and life, I think, takes a much more important place.
I see myself always playing music. 1 year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, I've been playing music this long. There's really no reason I would stop.
Hanging out in the LES, having some drinks with my best friend, over and over again. I'm looking